Welcome, everyone. My name is Taurus the Legend. Thank you so much for joining us at our episode 4 of our SAP Garage series. Today's session, we're going to be focusing on getting started with Integration Suite. And our presenters today is my colleagues Gautam Krishna, topic expert, solution owner, SAP Integration Suite, and Raghu Kulkarni, topic expert as well, product manager for SAP Integration Suite. I will now hand it over to Gautam to take over. Gautam?
Yeah, thanks, Taurus, for the introduction. And yeah, I don't have anything specific to say on my introduction apart from what you already said. So thank you for that. Let me share my screen. Okay, I hope my screen is visible.
Yeah, we can see your screen.
Yeah, all right, great. Thanks, Taurus. So thanks everyone for joining. A very warm welcome from my end as well to this edition of the SAP Garage series. And as mentioned, we will be focusing on SAP Integration Suite today. I'd just like to give a quick introduction of Integration Suite to the colleagues who are new to the solution, right? So for some of you, this might be a very familiar diagram. As the name suggests, Integration Suite is a suite or a collection of different capabilities. It's essentially an enterprise-grade iPaaS and integration platform as a service, which is hosted on or which is made available on our business technology platform. It is a multi-cloud application and it is available on the Cloud Foundry landscape and on different hyperscalers, which means it is available on Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, Google Cloud Platform as well, and in the China region on AliCloud or Alibaba Cloud. If you consider an enterprise-grade integration platform, you would expect it to have a host of different capabilities, right? And everything should be included in this particular suite to give you all the features necessary to achieve whatever use cases necessary, whether it's application to application integration, business to business integration, business to government integration, or specifically for a third party integration. So anything that you can think of, or even IoT integration for that matter, Integration Suite has the capability to do that, and it has the feature set to help you achieve those scenarios. Since it is not possible to kind of club everything into one capability, right? What we are giving is a collection of different capabilities. And if you have been involved in the SAP ecosystem for a long time, you could be familiar to the fact that some of these capabilities like cloud integration and API management and even open connectors and event mesh for that matter, were offered as standalone services. So they were initially disparate and standalone services. But now with Integration Suite, we have made a conscious effort to not only bring them together as one holistic service, but also harmonize the user experience and the interoperability between these services, right? So what it essentially does is to help you deliver a user experience where you can actually leverage the different capabilities together without a lot of management overhead or an operational overhead on your part. So for example, if you want to do process integration and also protect these endpoints as through the API management, which is essentially the scenario that we'll be executing together during the course of this session, this is now possible with Integration Suite. It was possible earlier as well, but then you had to deal with two different services that were not necessarily well integrated or interconnected with each other, and it will just come with its own set of complications, right? But with Integration Suite, all of that is eliminated. Commercially also, this is one license now. You don't have to purchase multiple licenses, deal with multiple metrics in terms of understanding what the different capabilities are measured and how much you're going to pay for it. So all these things are taken care of with Integration Suite. A quick word on the different components, right? So cloud integration, CPI or HCI, as you might know it, it's for the process integration. It's the integration pipeline, the heart of Integration Suite, if I can say that. It will give you mediation capabilities, message transformation. It will give you connectivity options. So this is where the heart of the integration lies. You can do message transformations, you can manipulate payloads, you can encrypt them, decrypt them, and do a host of other operations on this. Okay, thank you for that. Coming to API management, right? It's a full lifecycle API management capability, which means it has all the features that you need to create, deploy, maintain, and even monetize your API. So you can build your own API portal, for example, where you can expose your APIs and the data that you want with the security policies that you want, and involve your business partners or your other ecosystem into your network. So this is a very powerful tool, especially in the context of digital transformation, because we all know how APIs are very critical for digitally transforming your integration landscape, right? And that is where API management plays a very key role. Then we have integration advisor and trading partner management. This is specifically for geared towards B2B integration. So with integration advisor, it is a machine learning based capability where it will crowdsource some of the learnings that we as SAP see in the different scenarios that are deployed, right? Of course, confidential data is not accessed, but only the business context, right? For example, if you are a business that is running in the EMEA North region, and if you're in the business of retail, for example, there might be certain interface specifications that is very relevant to you, especially if you're using these B2B type systems, right? So based on that information, what integration advisor does is, when you have a field, when you have a list of, 1,500 fields to pick from, it'll give you proposals. So it will say, out of the 1,500 fields that you have, maybe 250 or 200 is relevant. So you can already see that this significantly filters out or reduces the amount of work that you have to do when you have to develop this interface specification, right? And trading partner management specifically will help you to onboard your different business partners, register them, monitor their scenarios. If there are some high value scenarios, for example, with specific trading partners, you can have dedicated monitoring, and essentially all the tools or feature sets that you need to execute B2B scenarios. That is what integration advisor and TPM will give you. Open connectors, specifically for non-SAP integration. So if you're looking at connectors to integrate with non-SAP applications, and if you're dealing with different types of APIs, right? Because if you look at Salesforce and the Microsoft Office platform, 365 platform, for example, they all have API documentation that is not essentially similar in nature, right? I mean, even though there can be REST APIs, the documentation is different. The data models might be slightly different. The way you authenticate with them might be different, and it has to be managed individually. But with open connectors, what you get is harmonized authentication, harmonized error handling, even canonical data models as well to an extent with the different non-SAP applications. So your non-SAP integration scenarios are very, very simplified if you go via open connectors, which are also nothing but REST-based connectors, right? And it also works very well with cloud integration. So if you want mediation capabilities, right, like whatever cloud integration offers, message mapping, for example, or encryption, and stuff like that, they work very well with each other. So you can either pull data or push data using the connectivity provided by open connectors, and mediate that or transform that using the steps available in cloud integration. So this is the core of integration suite as we see it. And then there are other capabilities as well which are available and which work well again together with the core capabilities of integration suite, which is event mesh. So if you are looking for an event broker sensing and responding to business events, is the event-driven architecture essentially, right? It's the new buzzword and something that the entire industry is moving towards. So it's more efficient. It's a better way to implement scenarios rather than doing a periodic pull or a push of data, right? Because it's much more efficient and you only target the data that is impacted. So this is where event mesh plays a key role. SAP Graph, again, harmonized data model across different SAP applications. So that is also available. And last but not the least, the API Business Hub, which is essentially a catalog of integration content, APIs, business events, and other integration related artifacts, right? So these are something that we call as integration accelerators, right? Which means if you start from zero, you will have to build everything from scratch. But imagine if you already have something pre-built for you, right? You could potentially use it in its original form, which will save you 100% of the work. You just configure the connectivity, uh, take care of the security aspects, connect and then deploy it. You're good to go. Or you can use it as a starting point and then further customize it, right? So even if it's 50 or 60% or even just 20 or 30% of your work is done, it'll save you a lot of effort. So that is what we aim to deliver with our integration packs or integration accelerators available in the API Business Hub. And last but not the least, Integration Suite can also offer hybrid connectivity, which means if you have both cloud to cloud scenarios and cloud to ground, which is cloud to on-premise scenarios, Integration Suite can do the job for you. We have the cloud connector, which is the de facto connectivity option through which you can connect to on-premise applications, right? And you might have also heard that we are working on a hybrid runtime. This is a containerized runtime that can be deployed on your on-premise landscape. It can run on essentially any Kubernetes cluster in your landscape, whether it's your own private cloud or your own dedicated infrastructure. As long as it supports the Kubernetes runtime, this can be deployed there. And it can deliver even ground-to-ground scenarios as well, which is on-premise to on-premise scenarios. So that will come very soon. It's on the roadmap, and this will together make Integration Suite the best option in the market, in my opinion, for all your integration scenarios. And we also have SAP Process Orchestration. If you have been in the integration business for a long time, this is something that you definitely would have heard of or even used. It's one of the highly adopted products in the SAP product portfolio. It's an on-premise middleware, but again, we have already announced end of life for that, 2027 with extended maintenance till 2030. So that is still there, but we are slowly transitioning customers into Integration Suite, and that is the future-proof and the future-looking solution from SAP for all integration needs. In terms of product strategy, I quickly wanted to touch upon which are the different type of users that we cater to, right? And here you can see we deal with all kinds of users, which are developers and experts, highly proficient in coding, not afraid to get their hands dirty, and so on. And then there are also LOB experts who are fairly, not so technical as well, but at the same time, they're more focused on the business processes, and they are more experts in the different LOBs that they are involved in, and they know the specifications there, they know the scenarios there. So for them, we have these integration packs, right, where it caters to the different scenarios, so they can very clearly use that as a starting point and then further customize it as well. And lastly, we have even for the business users. So here, they are users who are not at all technical in nature. They are mainly focused on implementing or solving business challenges. And here, what we have is targeted applications that has Integration Suite working under the hood. So here, the business users or LOB users, as you see in the slide here, they're not exposed to the integration pipeline directly. There is an application that acts as an interface between the integration pipeline and the users. So all they have to do is familiarize themselves with the application, like Ariba Cloud Integration Gateway, for example, right? So all Ariba customers get this by default. They can use it, but it only works for those kind of scenarios. But for the business users, that is more than sufficient, right? Similarly, on the same lines, you see the other solutions here, information collaboration hub, document compliance. So these are very popular solutions, and you can learn more about them in the sap.com website if you're interested. Okay, with that, let me jump into the demo quickly. So what are we going to do in the mission today? In this mission, we have our job or our objective is to read data from an online web shop. So this is a online application that has a list of electronic products listed in them with its associated details, right? So for example, if there's a printer, there are some details associated with the printer that are available. This web shop exposes its data through an open OData API. So here, what I mean by open OData API, there is no authentication involved. This application was specifically built for demo purposes, and even you can use it. I mean, anybody can use it as long as you have the right tools to connect to an OData API. And in cloud integration, we are going to use the OData V2 adapter to fetch the details of a product for which we already know the product ID. So that is the primary key or the unique identifier that is associated with a particular product. We will fetch these product details and read them. But the interesting thing here is that in cloud integration, we will expose the endpoint of the integration pipeline as a REST API. So there is a HTTPS adapter available in cloud integration, which can expose an endpoint. And here, what you're doing is you're actually opening up the integration landscape as a REST API. And this is something that we don't generally recommend due to security concerns, right? It's not, unless you're within your own ecosystem or within your own DMZ, we don't recommend you to do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this, take the same endpoint, and then we're going to proxify this using the API management capability. By proxify, what I mean is you're going to add a security policy and an access policy on top of this, and then build an API proxy. So what you're doing is you're not exposing the integration endpoint directly, but then there is a proxy which you create using the API management application. And then this proxy will help you to access this data. So the data flow essentially is that whatever request you're sending it to the API exposed by API management. And then that makes a call to cloud integration, which then fetches the data from the web shop and then displays it. So that is the flow that we are going to build today. So without further ado, let's jump into the demo. I will start with the web application that we're going to access here. So this is the online web shop that I'm talking about. Here, as you can see, there are a host of products that are listed here, different type of products, if you may, monitors, mouse pads, whatever. So if I click on a specific product, you can see that there is a field called as product ID. So this is the primary key or the unique identifier that they're going to use to indicate to the OData service that this is the product we are interested in, and this is the detail. These are the details that we want in this particular product. So this is about the web shop from which we are going to fetch the data. Let me quickly jump into the Discovery Center. You might again be familiar with this, but I still wanted to show you just how you can access the mission. So this is the homepage of the Discovery Center. Please create a profile because without that, you cannot start the mission. So to find the mission of interest today, we're going to click on the missions tab, and here there are filter conditions, right? So I'm going to filter for Integration Suite because that is what we're interested in. And here we have this time, get started with Integration Suite. So if you click on this, you can actually get an overview of the mission. This process is the same for any mission that you want to access on the Discovery Center. Everything is available. You can read about the mission. You can even view the project board. You can't use it till you start the mission, but you can read what the project board is. You can get a feel for what exactly is it that you're going to achieve. Like, for example, in this particular case, this mission is broken down into 3 sections, right? The first section is learning, where you actually learn about the different components and the capabilities of interest in Integration Suite. And the second one is experience, where you actually do it, where you start executing using the applications that you have on hand. And then the third one is explore, which is basically to reinforce your understanding once you have a basic handle on the concepts, the user experience, the user interface, whatever it is. You can then start getting into the details and understanding in depth what this is capable of, how can it help you solve your scenarios and your business requirements, and then take it forward from there. For certain missions, there is dedicated support experts, but not for this one. This is a community-based mission. So you can actually post questions which will be answered by a community, which is very vibrant. Raghu manages our community actually, and you should typically get answers. Even our experts, which are team members within our team, monitor these questions and answer it on a time-to-time basis. So this is how you can get support for this particular mission. And then there are customer stories. So this is a smaller list, but this list will grow. We will update it very shortly. So you can see all the different customers who have used Integration Suite to solve their business problems and kind of, sorry about that, and solve their business requirements and transform their landscapes into a more responsive and an intelligent enterprise, as we'd like to call it in SAP. So let's get started with the mission, right? And you can click on Start Mission here. And I'll start a new mission. You can even join an existing mission, like if your colleague or someone who's already started a mission, you can even do that as well. But for this, I'm going to start a new mission. And you can see the progress here. So I am in the mission phase learn. My progress is 0%. And if I go into the project board here, I can access the different cards. So let me start with this card. So what I need to do is learn about Integration Suite. There's a YouTube video. There is some short description here. So once I watch this video, it's an 18-minute video. It's actually a very long video. Only the first 18 minutes are what we think is relevant, but feel free to explore the entire video, right? And once I'm done with this, what I'm going to do is mark this card as complete. This is fairly intuitive, which shows that you're done with this card, and you can see the tool actually took you to the next card without actually clicking on it. So this is a very nice user interface, and you can actually come back. So for example, I stop here and then I can see I've completed this mission 6% and I've completed one card. In the same way, if I complete multiple cards, I can see my progress keeps getting updated and I can see where I am at. And you can take your own time to complete this mission as well. I would definitely recommend spending some time in the Learn section, because that will give you a lot of information on Integration Suite, especially if you're new to this. This is very important. So please spend some time here, and then you can jump into the Experience section. Here, again, the account management basics is something that I would also recommend for you to use if you are going to be spending a lot of time with the business technology platform. It will teach you all the different paradigms that we have, like what is a sub account, what is a global account, how you can add entitlements, which is essentially how you can give a sub account permission to use a specific service in the BTP service marketplace, right? So all this information is mentioned here, and how you can structure your landscape, right? Like if I want a 2-tier landscape, how many sub accounts do I need? Do I need different sub accounts for development and test and production, or can I somehow club development and test together? So if you will have different types of questions on this, and all of this is answered here. And there is also a checklist here called Getting Started Checklist. So it's worth pursuing and spending some time here. The next question you might have is, where do I do this if I don't have access to the tenant? So if you or your organization already has a productive license, of course you can potentially use it. But if you don't, what is it that you can do, right? So here we have an offering called as free tier. This is essentially a 90-day free of cost trial on our productive landscape. So the difference between trial and free tier is that in free tier, you will actually be using the tenant on the same landscape where paying customers have their tenant, right? Where licensed customers have their tenant. So you get to experience the full capacity of Integration Suite there. But of course, it is limited for 90 days for obvious reasons. It's just a offering for you to get a feel for it. And the advantage here is also that if you've done a POC or something in 90 days, and then if you want to carry it forward and convert it into a paid tenant, like if you want to carry forward the work that you've done in development, you can actually do that by upgrading to a paid service plan. And this is seamless. There is no migration. There is no movement or transporting of artifacts from one tenant to another. It is essentially the same tenant that you have on free tier. It will just get converted into a paid tenant. And you can start using it for as long as your subscription or your licensing duration lasts. Alternatively, we also have the trial, but I would strongly recommend using the free tier if that is something that you can manage, so that you get access to a environment that is very stable and the same as the licensed customers. Okay, with that, I will jump into the scenario directly. In the same card, you will see that there is a link to, there are a couple of links to different tutorials, right? And that is exactly what I'm showing here. So the first one is the setup part, which is the onboarding part to Integration Suite. So this is again very straightforward. It's a self-service. By this, what I mean is that earlier you had to depend on SAP operations to set up your integration tenant, right? Now, if you have the entitlement, you can set up your own tenant. The steps are very simple and the user interface is also very intuitive. You just, subscribe to the application, click on this add capabilities button here, and then select the capabilities that you want, click on the next button. It's a wizard based approach. Specify a few parameters, again optional, you don't have to as well. And then within a few minutes within a few minutes, the applications or the capabilities will get activated and you can start using it. As a prep for this session, because we have limited time, I have already subscribed to this. So this is my sub account in a global account that we use for demo purposes. And so just to show you the service marketplace, sorry about that. While this loads up, the service marketplace is essentially the catalog of different SaaS applications that are available on the business technology platform. So here I can only see the applications that I am entitled for. If you want to see the full host of applications, again, Discovery Center is the place where we have the service marketplace, or the service catalog, which will give you the list of all the services that are available on the business technology platform. And in this case, I am interested in Integration Suite. So I will filter for that. And I can see that there is already a go to application link because I have provisioned it. If I had not done it, I would have the create button here. I just click on the create button, the subscription will happen. And then the go to application button will get enabled. I click on this and we jump into what we call as the provisioning application. This is also called as Integration Suite Launchpad because if you want to navigate between the different capabilities of Integration Suite, this is where you come back to. So for example, if I am in Integration Advisor, right? If I click on this and then I want to, I am inside the Integration Advisor capability. And if I want to navigate back to cloud integration, I can do that here by clicking on this link. Well, we just give this a second. Yeah. So if I want to navigate back now to cloud integration, all I have to do is click on this button here on the top left, and it will bring me straight back to the Launchpad, and I can get started again with whatever are the next steps. So in this scenario, the first step is onboarding. Once you're done with it, the next one is to design the integration pipeline, right? And this is your cloud integration workspace. So here, I told you about this, where you expose the end of your integration pipeline as a REST API, and then you protect it using API management capabilities. So let us create the integration pipeline. Here, this is the workspace, right? The pencil icon here. And yeah, that's a security feature. So it's a timeout, but I should be in shortly. Yes. So the pencil icon here is your workspace. Once you come here, you will see the list of integration packages that you have either created or you have copied from the API business app. You can even get updates, but that's a different story for another day. So let's create an app integration pack, right? So I will call this SAP Garage Series Global 2022. And then I will call it demo package. And you can also specify a version if you're interested, and even the vendor for that matter. And I'll come into you can also define some metadata here if you're interested, like detailed description of what this is intending to do, add some documentation as well. So it's fairly comprehensive in terms of feature set. I want to build an integration flow. So I select this, and here I will call this again Garage Series Global Demo 2022. Okay, and the ID gets populated automatically. If you have an iFlow already or someone has sent it to you to try it out, you can even upload it. But in this case, I'm going to create it. And once I create this, this is a graphical user interface, which means you don't have to write stuff or code stuff from scratch. Everything is available, and you can drag and drop the steps. So for example, if you want a message converter, that's available here. You can see different types of converters that are available. Same way, encoder, extractor, decoder, even scripting. If you want to write dedicated scripts which can do very niche functions, for example, you can even do that. We support both Groovy and JavaScript. And routers, adapters, other different elements like integration processes, local processes, for example, all of this is available. Yeah. So let me make some space here. The first step is to expose the end of this pipeline as a REST API, right? So I click on the sender here and I connect it, and automatically I see a list of all the adapters that are available. So I select HTTPS because that is the REST API, right? And once I select this, I go into the connection tab, and I'm going to follow the same steps that are listed in the tutorial so that it's not confusing for you. If you're going through it with me together. So I'm going to enter the same path. You can provide any path that is, as long as it's consistent. Like for example, when you use the path here, the same path should be used in API management as well when you protect the API. So if you use the same thing, you're good. It won't cause a problem, but I'm going to use the same thing just for the benefit of you guys who's doing it for the first time, right? And we need to uncheck this CSRF protected box here, and that's all the configuration that you need to do in this particular adapter. I'm just going to click on save so that the work is saved. It's a good practice in browser-based applications always, because you never know internet connectivity, right? I click on the pipeline here, and as you can see, I can even go here and select the step and drop it here, but I don't have to do that. I can just come here and select this plus icon. It will populate a list which will show all the icons that are all the steps that are available in the palette. So I want to add a converter now, JSON to XML converter. I just type JSON, and yeah, it's already here. So I just select it and it's added to the list. So this will convert the JSON input that will be sent into the integration pipeline as a request into XML format. And now using this XML payload, I have to extract the product ID details, right? So I am going to do that with a content modifier step. Oops, sorry, wrong step. Yeah, with a content modifier, right? And I can even name it. Like for example, I'll say extract product ID, right? That will actually really give you, I mean, it's a good practice if you're an integration developer. Specifying human readable step names will help you to kind of work well in a team, right? In the message header, I need to create a message header. And again, as per the norm, I'll use the same values. The name will be product identifier. You can as well call it product ID or anything that you want. It's an XPath because it's an XML file and you have to specify a path for it. You can even select the value. Like if you have a sample payload, you can click on the select and then upload the sample payload and select the XPath in a graphical way. So that's also something that you can do easily. Okay. But in this case, I'm going to specify it because it's easily available in the tutorial here. And I mean, it's not a big payload, to be very honest. It's just one field. So it's very easy to do. And the data type is Java language string. Yeah. So I'm going to do that. And again, save so that everything is safe. And now I need to make an external call. So this is to the web shop, this particular application I was showing you, right? So here, what I need to do is add a step called request reply. So this is request reply. Again, I will call it fetch product details. So easy to understand, right? I already have a receiver here, so I'm just going to reuse it. I'm going to drag it here, and then I told you that we're going to use an OData adapter, right? So that is what I'm going to do. When I connect it, I get the drop-down list. I select OData here, and it's a OData V2 because that's the API that the webshop is offering. So I'm going to select OData V2. And in the OData V2 adapter, you have these configurations. So first, you need to provide the address of the OData service, right? So I'm going to come here. Again, everything is available in the tutorial. It's very easy for you. This is the OData service, right? So you just copy this and you paste it in the address. There's no authentication required. I told you it's an open service, so you can easily do it. In earlier, if there is no modeling capability available, right, you would have to write your own query. So OData works with the URI, right? So you would have to write, for example, select star from blah blah blah, the entity name, and then $top $filter, add the conditions, the filtering, the ascending and the descending order. Everything had to return or typed out manually. But with OData adapter, what we offer you is a graphical query modeling capability. So here, what you can do is you can just click on the select button, and there is a wizard that will guide you through an approach where you can model your query. So let me show you how to do that. Address, again, it is automatically populated. You don't have to specify it. The operation I want to do is get, which is also called query. So I want to fetch some details. If I click on the search button here, it will show you the list of entities that are available through the OData service. So you can fetch anything that you want. I am interested in the product, so I'll select products here, right? And I want all the fields. So I want the currency code, dimension, whatever data is available, I want everything. So I'll select everything, right? Select all the fields. So everything is selected now. And as you can see, as you select the value, so if I close this, there is no query here. But once I start, sorry about that. So once I start specifying the conditions, the query gets generated automatically. So products, and you can see products is added here. Select all fields. $select is equal to all the fields available, right? So let's go into the filtering criteria. So here I'm interested in the product ID. So let me select the product ID, and that's the primary key here. Product ID is equal to the header value. So if you remember, in the content modifier, I had actually created a header called product identifier, and that is exactly what I need to specify in this. So let me go down here, and in this, the syntax to specify the header is dollar, curly braces, and then header dot the value that you specified in the content modifier, whatever it might be. In this case, it's product identifier. So dollar header dot product identifier. Sorting is not relevant because I'm going to fetch only the details of the product that is equal to the product ID I'm sending. So this is only one product, right? So that is taken care of. I click on finish, and the query is done. So even the EDMX file gets generated. So I am good to go here. I have completed modeling my integration pipeline. I'm clean it up slightly just to make it look nice. Click on save, and I don't see any errors. If there are any mistakes, it will pop up here. So for example, here is a warning. You can ignore this one because it doesn't matter. But if there are any red flags, you will see them. And if you hover over that, you can also see the error that it is showing. So for example, in this, I can see it may not pass a JSON. So it's just a warning. You are pretty sure you're going to send a JSON. So that is something that you don't need to worry about. Now I can deploy this. Very straightforward. Click on deploy. I get a prompt that it is deployed. And here, if you see, there is a tab called deployment status. It will show you exactly what the status of the deployment was. So it is starting. Let me wait for it to completely start. It can take a few seconds to start. If the iFlow is very big, it might take a few more seconds, but it's usually very quick. So let's just give it some time. And in the meantime, I can also show you the monitoring section by the time this loads up. So here, there is a direct link to the monitoring section. You can also access it by clicking on the eye icon here on the top left. Yeah. And this will show you the entire monitoring section for this particular tenant. So actually, the iFlow is deployed. Yeah, it says started, right? So I can see that these are the different iFlows that I've already deployed on the tenant, and I have started this. So the API endpoint is this one. And this is what Raghu who will take over from now, will protect using an API proxy, and then also add a policy and show you. So Raghu, over to you.
Thank you, Gautam. Yeah, I will share my screen, and you can share me the details, Gautam, so that I will use them
So,
in creating API.
Gautam, just before Raghu starts, there's a couple of questions. I don't know if Raghu's had a chance to answer all of them, but there's quite a number of questions.
Yes,
in the chat zone.
I could not see that. I am just setting up my portal and all. We'll answer it.
I'll take the questions, Raghu. I'll take the questions in the chat. Please proceed so that we make good use of that.
Sure. Thank you. So I'll start sharing the screen. I hope you will be able to see my screen. Right?
We can see your
Yes, we can see.
Yeah. Thank you. So I will start with I have already launched the API management capability in API portal. I have already launched. The way you have to launch, right? You can come from the Integration Suite Launchpad, and there we have a capabilities listed. Click on that, and this will launch. So I don't want to go and spend time because we have less time to complete this. So what I will do now is, so I have launched the API portal. Just to increase the, and this is just a launching screen. So we have to, what we are going to do now is, I will take a CPI endpoint that Gautam has created, cloud integration endpoint, and I will create an API proxy, and I will add a policy template to it. A policy template is nothing but a set of policies to achieve some use case, some functionality, or we can call. So I will go to, without wasting much time, I'll go to the develop. And then in the develop tab, there are so many tabs are there, right, in the screen. So I'm going to see API, and I'll just click on create API proxy. So we can create API proxy using different ways. Like we can create an API provider, which is nothing but a representation of our backend, which can be any system, SAP, non-SAP, on-premise system, or any system. But for this scenario, we are going ahead with the URL as we have a CPI endpoint. So I'm just going there. Gautam, you shared with me the details.
Raghu, it's the same as what we use.
Yeah, sure. Yes, I have it. Yeah, I'll just take that. Yeah. Yeah, so I already have it. So what I will do is I'll just, I have a CPI endpoint shared by Gautam. So I'll just create a API proxy. What I'm doing now, I'll just share this. Yeah. This is as part of this integration suite mission, right? This is the exercise, next exercise after the creating an integration flow. I'm just following this. So what I'm doing now is I got this. I went to this deployment status and already got the endpoint URL and all. So this is how I already launched clicking on it and all. I was already there. So I went to this and I was able to start creating an API, selected the URL. So I'll start adding all these details now, right? So I'll just start. Yeah. We can have it anyways. This one and /product as our base path. Yeah. And this is a REST API. Yeah. You can remove this, or if you keep it also, it doesn't matter. It's just a title, products, REST, and just I will go ahead with creating a API. So you will get this page. We have to add a proxy resources to this proxy. So what I will do is just I will come to the resource tab and I will just add a resource here. We can go ahead and see how what they are talking about. Click on this add resource, and we need to add a resource like path prefix will be details and product details will be the tag. Yeah. So we want to only allow certain operations on this. So you would like to delete all the operations. We don't want to anyone to do all these operations. So post is required, and I'll just remove, and I'll say okay. I'll just save it now. So the next step is in this one will be like once I have deleted all the operations and only allowed to do a post operation on this resource, we have to go and change the we have to edit this API in the editor. We would like to change this to payload to product identifier. This is what been suggested. I will just go here and I will edit in our API designer. So I'll just see. Yeah, here content schemas, properties, payload, right? You can see object proper component schema properties payload. So I'll just remove this payload and I will add a product identifier here. That is how our services are, right? So I'll say product identifier. Yeah, and I will also add a example. Yeah. So I have added that product identifier, and that is a type string, and an example is HT200. So if you are doing a tryout, it will directly take this as a payload. That's what I'm planning to do. The payload will be type object, properties will be product identifier. It will be type string, and it will take it as product identifier as H200. So this is what is done. I'll just save it. And I will deploy it as well. So you can see if I open this API, you will be able to see this is the proxy URL we have created, and you can see the target URL was our API endpoint, right? So now what the next step will be to add a policy template. This step is over. Now we have to go here and do, if we do a tryout now, we will basically get unauthorized. We can try that. If I say execute, see whatever we have added in that, right? It's already coming product identifier. So just say execute, and I get some unauthorized here, 401, right? So for this, I would like to add a, a policy template, and in the policy template, we'll be adding these client ID, client secret, and token generation URL. So that is the next step we'll be doing. Yeah. So we have already got this. Gautam has already shared with me. So what the next step I'll be doing is I will be assigning a policy template to the API proxy that we have created, right? I'll be searching. I have already copied this policy template to my API portal, but I will just go here. You should go to the discovery page here, which is connected to SAP API Business Hub, and search for connect. BTP, something like that. So connect to SAP Business Technology Platform. This is the policy template we'll be using. So if you go inside, you will be able to see this is the policy template. And this is how you will be able to copy it to your system. So since I have already copied, I'll not be doing now. I will show already. I can go here and the develop tab, and I will be able to show you. This is the policy template, cloud platform connectivity, business technology platform connectivity is the title. So this is what I will be applying to the API policy, yeah, proxy. So let's go there now. I'll open the API just now I have created. So I'll go to the policy designer screen. Yeah. So edit. So policy template, apply. So all the policy templates which are there in your API portal, it will be shown here. So I'll be using cloud integration platform, cloud platform connectivity, and applied. Once you apply the policy template, however the policy template is being created, right? It will apply to wherever the flows it is, like pre-flow of the proxy endpoint, post-flow of the proxy endpoint. So these are attached on pre-flow of the target endpoint and post-flow of the one policy on the post-flow of the target endpoint. So these are the policies already created. So what these policies will be doing is, this policy template, basically what it does is it takes client ID, client credential, and it will generate a bearer token, and it will pass it to the endpoint before. So it will basically authenticate you. So what we'll be doing here, this is a service callout policy. This service callout policy will take the authorization, basically with 64 encoded authorization. It will do a post on a URL called URL token generation URL. So first thing I will do is I will add the token generation URL that is already shared. So I'll go. I'm just copying. Just the token generation URL need to be copied till here. This is because we need to pass what kind of client type is, and for this is a client type is client credential. So we have already copied this URL till here, and we need to also append client type client credential. So next thing is you need to pass client ID client secret. To pass client ID client secret, we will be using a assign message policy where we will paste client ID client secret. We are setting client ID values here, right? So I'll just pass search the client ID client secret. Where is it? Client ID. Just yeah, I have clip, and I will go and copy the client secret as well. Yeah. So copied client ID and client secret. What this will do is it's just setting client ID, client secret, these values, and this will pass it to, we have a basic authentication policy. This takes client ID, client secret, the values which are already set in this assign message policy. It will provide a base encoded authorization code, base 64 encoded authorization code, and this will be and set it to SAP API authorization. Assign it to this value, this variable, and then that will be read. We are just reading that SAP API authorization, and we are passing this to this token URL, endpoint URL. Once it is done, what happens is the token generated will be read and it is passed to the endpoint. So we'll read this token and we set that token to SAP API token, and we'll pass that. So basically, this is what it is doing, and I will just update it. I'll save it and deploy, because we have changed something. So now what I'll do, I will test it now, because we have already set everything now, right? Let's try out. And already the values is there in the request body. So let's try out. So we got the response, right? Portable player, something like that. So we can try out with some different values, and we can get, if there is a something is there, we can get it actually. If I say 2001, I don't know what it will come. So something like this. So we can do also
16,000.
Yeah, yes.
1600, sorry. 1600.
Yeah, 1600. Yeah. 1600, I will try. Thanks, Gautam. So let's see what it will be. We got it. Some PCs, personal computer. The details are here. HT, some product ID, weight, all details are already come. So this is about the, we are making use of a cloud integration CPI endpoint. and then proxifying it, and then we are added a policy, security policies. We add it, so it was not just a security policy, but we added security, the policy template, which was generating a URL token, OAuth token, bearer token that we passed, and we were able to access the product details. So now we have a time for questions. Like we have some time for questions. Any questions?
So if you guys have any questions for either Gautam or Raghu, please unmute your line and ask your question, or type your question in the chat area. You guys have any questions for either Gautam or Raghu? I think we've exhausted the questions in the chat, Gautam.
Yes, I tried to answer everything. If not, please ping me again. But I think I've covered everything.
So those who felt like the questions are not answered, they can ask us. Now we have some time, 4 minutes.
We've got about 3-4 minutes. So if there's anybody, Kumud, if you want to ask your question.
Yeah, thanks. Hi, Gautam. Hi. Sorry, I forgot.
Raghu.
Raghu. This was a great session. I'm completely new to Integration Suite. I have a basic question. So time to time, I see that people compare the middleware PI system with CPI and raise performance issue concerns and things like that. So could you share your view, like where we may have issues with CPI when dealing with actual customer usages? And if in those cases, what other services from the integration suite we could consider for a productive landscape?
Shall I take this, Raghu?
Yeah, Gautam, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes. I was about to.
So, so I mean, it's very hard. I mean, it's a very generic question, right? In the sense that we really need to look at the specifics as to why there are issues. So there are certain things that you need to keep in mind when you're architecting an integration landscape. For example, the way scenarios are built in PI, it's not the same way you do it in CPI. So I've seen where there are scenarios where, for example, payloads of 20 or 30 MB is being processed, and then there are complaints of the system being slow. So this is typically not the way to do it in the cloud. In cloud, you need to deal with lightweight payloads that are fast, XML based or CSV based. So handling these file systems, they tend to lead to these kind of performance errors. So my recommendation would be to follow the enterprise integration patterns. So if you go on our community and search for this exact term, enterprise integration patterns, you'll get a lot of material. So it has details on how you can architect your integration flows in a way that they are high performant, they're stable, reliable, and they give you the throughput that you're expecting. And to kind of provide you some proof points, we have a lot of customer stories where customers have processed hundreds of millions of messages on a daily basis, for example, in Black Friday scenarios and stuff like that. So it really depends on the design of your iFlows. There is no cause for concern. And I would not recommend that you do heavy file transfers or high data integration scenarios, right? Because this is a process integration capability, and that is how you should use it. In such cases, yes, you might hit some sort of overhead or upper limit, but in general, the performance has been really good.
Great.
Thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Gautam.
Yep. So to answer your question, Deepak, yes, the session has been recorded and will be uploaded shortly to YouTube. So if you do a search on YouTube for SAP Garage, you should be able to, episode 4, you should be able to find it, but I will be putting the link in a subsequent follow-up email to you guys right after this call. I see, Mike, you've got a question. His question is, your demo, service key APIM, CPI, what about CPI open connectors?
There is a mission on Discovery Center getting started with open connectors. Please try it out. That deals with this particular use case, and you can get hands-on experience there. unfortunately, this was not in scope for this mission, so we just had to leave it up.
Okay. One last kick at the can. If you guys have any additional questions before we end our session. Any other questions? Okay. Excellent. Thank you so much, Gautam and Raghu, for a great session. I think everybody found a lot of value in your mission.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to just remind you guys, our next SAP Garage will be held next month on May the 4th, on the first Wednesday of the month, which is May 4th. And we'll be covering the mission, Establish a Central Inbox with SAP Task Center. I hope you'll be able to join us then for our next Garage mission. With that, I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us. Have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you're located. Thank you so much, and talk to you next month.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everyone. Have a nice day.